was trying to film an intro, but I just kept fumbling my fucking words, so I'm just going to show you the brakes because they look good. I just picked them up from Procoat. They've redone them in gloss black, and then they put the stickers on, and then they clear over the top. I've got a new seal kit for them, and all the hardware's been zinced. Hopefully we can try and get them all put back together today. And then I've showed you the gearbox, but just would you look at that? I've got a GK Tech shifter for it, so I've got to try and remember to bring it into work so we can get it on, and then hopefully the engine's ready this week too, fingers crossed. So we've got the GK Tech shifter all on and bolted up. Looks good. Looks long, that shifter. Hopefully it doesn't feel too long, otherwise I'm going to have to shorten it. Hey gang, today we are picking up the 2.2 VE, and it's just been put together by E&H Motors in Pukekohe. Just pulling in the driveway now. Hoorah! Here we go, here's the engine. Just picked it up from E&H. They've lent me this rocker cover because mine's currently getting powder coated. I've got a P12 cover. We've got a few things to do before we can put it in the car. I have to fit the turbo and stuff on it, do all the oil and water lines, mount the relocation for the solenoids somewhere, make a bracket. Probably sit underneath, well, obviously going to sit underneath the intake somewhere. Man, that looks good. Now we're filming it.
Yeah, but like it's a time lapse, right?
We'll speed it up, but if there's any good punishing chat, we'll add that in there. Look how much that one pulls in to that one.
Yeah, that's right. Quit your worrying, mate. Just
It's only brakes.
ram the pads into the hammer.
Ta-da! So we've just had the rock cover come back today from Procoat. I had to get this dash fitting put on here because there's nothing, and deleted the one off the back because that points straight into the firewall. So I got Graham Smythe to do that, and he's done a freaking good job. It literally looks like factory, which is exactly how I wanted it. So yeah, bang this on now, and there we go. Rocker cover on. I'm running the Franklin Performance dress-up bolts to hold it on. These are for an SR20, which this is an SR20, but the VVL rocker cover has a couple of extra less bolts, so I have got a couple of spares. Bended all the oil and water lines on that side, on the turbo. I think we've just got the oil feed to do. The solenoids are all mounted under here. Got a new starter motor, alternator. Yeah, it's coming along. Finally got my hands on an elusive non-airbag dash, thanks to Johnny down the South Island. I'm probably just going to get, there's a little crack just there. So I'll try and get that fixed. Then I can bang that straight in. Then we can get the glass put in, and then the interior can go in. Okay, so we got the front brakes are all on now. I'm just running like a DBA street performance pad, which this isn't really probably going to see any track work, let alone much street work, because it's just too nice to drive almost. But that looks good, I'm happy with that. Just OE plus. And then in the rear, they look pretty damn good in there. I've got these brakes on the GTR and that stops means, so this should pull up this little car pretty easy. Hey guys, just thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown on this engine. So the block, the 2.2, I acquired off a mate probably 4 or 5 years ago, which he'd had sitting around for a while. So my plan was always just to give it a bit of a freshen up, chuck a DET head on it and chuck it in a car, which was the Sylvia that I've got, that you guys have seen. It was never meant to be this crazy, but shit happens. It's a classic story. And then I decided to ditch the DET head because I'd had thrown rockers before in previous SA powered cars. Did the VE head. I got a P10 Developments built VE head. It's a P11 head. It's ported. It's got Calford cams, Beehive springs. So they've said that head's good for about 500 kilowatt, which is ridiculous to have that kind of power in a tiny little Sylvia on the street. They supply most of the parts, like the VE oil pump, the rock cover, gasket, all sorts of bits and pieces. Their knowledge on VE stuff's really, really good. The block has just had a rebuild. It didn't have main studs, so I've ended up having to main stud it. And E&H, who mated the head and the block together, decided to do a Plasma Man girdle, just to tie it all together if we're going to have anything kind of over 450 kilowatt on this thing. The block's pretty straightforward, just forged. The manifold, I got a 3rd stroke manifold out of Aussie, just to go with the G30 770 turbo, running a 0.82 exhaust housing, and then it's got that Plasma intake manifold which you guys are seeing. Ross Racing Performance crank pulley. It's kind of simple, but kind of not. The whole engine. It's running an E&H trigger kit. Hopefully we can get this thing in the hole in the next week. See you, mate.